Okay, so these are your notes on the Industrial Revolution, which is our next unit or portion of the next unit that we are discussing. And it is going to begin in the late 18th century and move into the early 19th century. So you're talking the late 1700s into the early 1800s. The War of 1812 occurs, and from that, you have quite a few positive effects. First and foremost, the United States becomes self sufficient in manufacturing. That is a big deal. We're at war with our primary trade partner in Britain, and so we have to produce goods that we need and that people desire domestically instead of depending upon trading with them because, hey, you're at war, right? So domestic production of goods becomes self-sufficient in the United States. Our free enterprise system emerges, and we'll discuss free enterprise a little bit more in depth later on during this unit. Nationalism increases as well. So this intense pride for your country, pride in the nation, you're proud to be an American, you've fought Britain again and weren't defeated, things of that sort. Foreign respect is going to also increase because, hey, here's this new country, fairly new country, who's fighting Britain once again and is able to not be conquered by them. And it also decreases our dependence on cottage industries. And cottage industries are where people are primarily producing things in the home and then they sell them out from there. You'll see as we have the Industrial Revolution carry on that things are going to be done more in factory production instead of on the small scale, which is what your cottage industries were. All right, so the big question to remember as you're going through this in your notes is what were the results of the early 19th century industrialization in America? What are the effects? First thing that is going to change with the Industrial Revolution is transportation. Okay, remember, leading up to this point, you don't have cars, trains, planes, all that good stuff. So you will have this transportation revolution. Things were pretty slow. So transportation before, you're dealing horse, wagon, things of that sort. Afterwards, your settlers and immigrants are going to move west in search of business opportunities. And so you're going to have to build roads in order to promote the system for free enterprise and allow them to have those businesses and have them be lucrative. Okay, transportation after the Industrial Revolution is going to include things like steamboats, railroads, things of that nature. And you'll see in the black lines for your railroads by 1850, they're right along the coast, connecting a lot of your larger cities, okay? And they're pretty small lines. Now, the 10-year period after that, from 1850 to 1860, are those red lines. And so you see them going a little bit more farther distances, further west, connecting smaller towns, okay, and people to things where most of your population had been pretty heavily located along the East Coast. All right, the Erie Canal is one of your great transportation revolutions. The building of it, I should say, occurs between 1817 and 1825. It is a 363-mile canal connecting Albany to Buffalo, New York. Okay, this is much further than any other American or European canal. Okay, a quarter of the workers on this canal are Irish. This is going to cause shipping prices in the Midwest to drastically decrease because it's going to be a lot cheaper to transport products because of the canal system. Okay, Robert Fulton is going to be your inventor of the steamboat. In 1807, this is going to again revolutionize transportation because you're going to use the power of the steam engine in order to get power to the boat, and then it's able to transport products a lot more quickly. Right? After the steam engine has been invented and then used on the steamboat, you get this bright idea to transport things on cars using the steam engine, and that's how your railroad system and trains comes to being. Your effects here is it's going to again drastically speed up transportation. It lowers your freight charges, so it's a lot cheaper to get products from one place to another. You're going to link the Northeast to the Midwest, okay, where you don't have any direct water route. In order to do that, you're able to get railroad lines through these towns, and you're going to open new markets for goods. where people have moved west but aren't quite connected to the East Coast where a lot of your products were located, they're going to be able to get them, and so you have this new market for goods available. All right, and looking at this map, it's important to remember that most of your railroad lines are going to be located along the East Coast and moving into the Midwest region of the United States. Okay, and this is your map of 1870, and we'll talk about the effects of these railroad lines leading into and during the time frame of the Civil War. You'll see that if you're talking north versus south, that a lot of your rail lines are going to be where the Union is located, and you're going to have fewer where the Confederate States were. A lot of your industrialization is going to occur in the north, and so the north becomes known for its industry. The south will still remain pretty agricultural. All right, Samuel Slater is known as the father of the factory system. So he has this bright idea that, hey, it'll be a whole lot faster if we get people under one roof doing things rather than the cottage industries as before. So your early factory system is going to use water power in order to run the mills and things of that sort. Now, the factories are going to encourage urbanization because your workers are going to move closer to the factories. They're not looking for that small-time tailor to do things anymore for them, but you're going to get cheaper products from things coming out of the factory. So a lot of those people are no longer going to have employment as independent contractors, so to speak. They have to go and work in the factories. So these factories start to employ entire families for low wages. Your families are motivated because of the conditions in the north are growing to be pretty poor, and if they move towards the cities that are starting to be developed because of these factories and where jobs are being located, that they might end up having a better life. All right, the Lau mills are some of your famous mills during this particular time in history. A lot of your young farm women are going to be moving to these mills, and they're going to live in boarding houses. So they live there and they work there at the factory. Okay, your women are looking for these jobs. They migrate from the rural areas, again from the farms, to the cities. They have to follow very strict rules. Okay, you must attend church. You have to learn to read. You have to become the quote-unquote marrying type. Okay, so they're taught how to be a lady. Their working conditions are deafening. The factories are very loud. They are very dangerous. They do not at this time have workers' compensation and things of that sort. So if you're hurt on the job, it's kind of like, oh, so what? We have someone else who can replace you. And the pay tends to be very high early on, which is why people come in. But it's going to plummet as you have more and more competition, and your dangers also increase in the factories as well. So here are some of your images of your Lau mills. Remember that there's dormitories where these ladies are having to stay, and they also have the factory there as well. And you can see there aren't really many guards or anything like that on any of the equipment, so sometimes hair will get caught in it, fingers, all that kind of stuff. A little dangerous. Okay, New England is going to be dominant in your textile production. You'll see that it is very heavy in the New England region and then kind of tapers off as you move to the south. All right, steam power is going to innovate the mills. After the 1850s, your steam engines are going to start to run the mills, and they're going to replace water as the main source of power. So machines are going to produce more of the goods. It's going to allow you to have more unskilled laborers, so that means that you can pay less, and your factories could be moved away from their water locations they had to be on because they were running on water power with the water frame. Now, your immigrants are going to come in to the United States to work at a lot of these factories and looking for better jobs and a better way of life. And a huge portion of those immigrants between 1820 and 1860 are going to be from Ireland. And one of the main reasons for that is because the potato, which was a staple crop in that nation, is going to pretty much fail. And you have what's known as the Irish potato famine. A lot of people are leaving because they're starving, literally starving to death. Okay, you also have another chunk that come from Germany. You have a nice group from Great Britain, smaller portion from Asia, Canada, the rest of Europe, and Latin American nations. All right, one of your next inventions is interchangeable parts, and they are created by Eli Whitney, and this is going to revolutionize products as well. It's the first interchangeable parts are going to first be used in the production of guns, and it makes it faster to produce them and easier to repair. Initially, you'd have to replace the entire gun or have a very skilled artisan take care of something that might have gone wrong with the gun. Now you have these interchangeable parts that allow you to use unskilled workers. It doesn't require as much supervision, and it can lead to mass production of guns and then eventually other products as well. All right, on the agricultural side of things, you have John Deere, who invents the steel plow in 1837, and Cyrus McCormick with the mechanical reaper. The mechanical reaper and the steel plow are going to increase farm production because you're not having to do it on a very small scale anymore, and it allows the Midwest to focus on farming, and the East can focus on manufacturing. The Midwest individuals are able to get their finished products and goods from the East Coast because of railroad lines, and your East Coast individuals are going to be able to get their food and things of that sort from the Midwest farmers. Okay, another thing that's going to revolutionize agriculture will be the cotton gin. The cotton gin is also invented by Eli Whitney. It makes cotton production more profitable. Cotton is a very difficult crop in which to make profit off of and grow and clean and things of that sort. So your plantations are going to begin to spread westward because the cotton gin is going to make that production more profitable. Your plantations increase in size, and it actually increases the need for slaves. So now the South is going to become dependent on selling cotton to the Northeast and the European factories, where they are then using that cotton to make your finished textiles. All right, next invention with communication is going to be with Samuel Morse and the telegraph. It's going to allow for more communication between your areas of the United States. And we're going to stop right there and pick up with video 2 for the next portion, beginning with John Marshall and your court cases.